Hello everyone. When it comes to communicating in English language, tenses play a significant role in constructing a meaningful sentence for the readers or listeners. It is important to understand the different tenses when using the English language. So what do we basically understand by the term tense? Tense means time. Tense is a verb form that shows the time of an action, an event, or state by a change in its form or use of a helping verb. In simpler words, tense tells you about the time of an action. There are three main types or forms of tense, which are namely present tense, past tense, and future tense. These three indicates whether the action happens in the present, happened in the past, or will happen in the future. I eat is an example of a present tense. I ate is an example of past tense. I will eat is an example of future tense. Each of these tenses has four subtenses. You need subtenses to express if an action is number 1 timeless, if an action is number 2 still continuing or going on, if an action or task is completed, and number 4 if the action started at some time in the past and still continuing, or action started in past and end in the past, or an action which will start in the future and will continue for some time and then comes to an end. These four subtenses are namely simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. So yes, there are many subcategories of tenses and each of them are equally important in its application. Hence, we need to understand each of them in detail. In today's session, we shall learn about simple present tense. The simple present tense in English is used to describe an action that is regular, true, or normal. We use simple present tense to talk about facts. I live in Guwahati. To talk about habits and routines. For example, they swim every day. To talk about feelings or emotions. For example, I love pizza. To talk about general or universal truths. For example, Sunday comes after Saturday, or sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And also we use simple present tense to refer to future time, fixed future events on timetables or calendars. For example, the train leaves at 5. My school will reopen in June. So, these were the cases in which we use simple present tense. Now we shall learn about the structure of a sentence in simple present tense. The structure for a sentence in simple present tense is subject plus verb plus predicate. The subject can either be in the first person, second person, or in third person. I, you. For example, I speak English at home. For example, I learn English at home. An example in third person being the subject of the sentence will be he learns English at home. She speaks English at home. There are few more rules to keep in mind while using or constructing a sentence in simple present tense. We shall now learn about them. In general, with the third person, the verb takes an S. Example, he speaks English at home. Here, the verb speak takes an S at the end. So, the example is he speaks English at home. The spelling for the verb in the third person differs depending on the ending of that verb. For verbs that end with O, CH, SH, double S, X or Z, we add ES with the verb at the end. Thereby, go, which ends with O, becomes goes, GOES. Catch, which ends with CH, turns into CATCHES, catches. Wash, which ends with SH, becomes washes, WASHES. Fix, which ends with X, becomes fixes, FIXES, and there are more such words. For verbs that end in a consonant with Y, we remove the Y and add IES. Thereby, marry, which ends with Y, becomes marries, MARRIES. Study becomes studies, etc. For verbs that end in a vowel plus Y, we add S without removing the Y. For example, play, PLAY, play become plays, PLAYS. Enjoy become enjoys, etc. Now we will know about the structure of a simple present tense for a negative sentence. To make a negative sentence in English, we simply use do not or does not, except to be and modal verbs. We add do not between the subject and the verb. We use do not when the subject is I, you, we, or they. For example, I do not watch cartoons. But when the subject is he or she or it, we add does not between the subject and verb to make a negative sentence in simple present tense. For example, he does not speak German. Here, the subject plus do not or does not plus verb plus predicate becomes the structure for a negative sentence in simple present tense. Next, we shall learn about framing of questions in simple present tense. To make a question in English, we normally use do or does at the beginning of the question. We use do when the subject is I, you, we, or they. For example, do they speak English? And when the subject is he, she, or it, we add does at the beginning to make the affirmative sentence a question. For example, does he speak French? We do not use do or does in questions that have the verb to be or modal verbs. By to be verbs, I mean is, am, or are. And by modal verbs, I mean can, must, should, etc. So finally, the word order to construct a basic question in English using do or does in simple present tense is do or does plus subject plus verb plus predicate. For example, do you like cats? So, with this example, we come to an end of the explanation on simple present tense. Listen properly and practice. I hope this audio will help you gather knowledge on simple present tense. In case you have any doubt or query, please let me know. Thank you.